So wait, how's everybody doing this afternoon? Good? Alhamdulillah. I want to thank Yasmin. Jazakallah khair. That was excellent. I mean, another round of applause for Yasmin and her inspirational talk. I thought that was incredible, alhamdulillah. And it's good to see girls playing sports, man. I mean, I'm a huge sports fan. Y'all see in the talk, I make a number of sports analogies. I think they're excellent. You know what I'm saying? I think there's a lot to be learned, both personally and within the community by just engaging in sports and stuff. But I think everyone should get involved. Is the PowerPoint ready? I don't see anything. Unless there's something I don't see, or I have to press a button. No blank. Next, maybe back. This thing is like an old school iPhone. There's a pointer here. You have anything? No. All right. Who wants this? Because I don't need it. All right, I guess I'll get started then. As those people may be familiar, I recently stepped down as regional director for DC Mist. Show of hands, people who know DC Mist, the Muslim Interscholastic Tournament. I love it with all my heart. I served as a director for 3 years while pursuing my PhD in mechanical engineering. And I think personally, I really enjoyed Mist more than school, which isn't hard to say. I mean, you get to meet people, you get to hang out with youth, you get to hang out with competitors, not kids. I'll tell you about that a little bit later. And it's just a fantastic time. You get a direct opportunity to touch people's lives in a positive way. But I guess what I want to talk about is the lesser known inner workings behind Mist, how I see Mist, how we as organizers see Mist, and more importantly, how it relates to you all as individuals. I got my start with Mist, and fortunately, she's in the audience. Sarah Shamin, she was my first supervisor. They called me in because the year before, there was a huge fight after the awards ceremony. Some people were like, no, man, your nasheed sucked. Our nasheed was better. Let's fight about it. And so they started fighting. And so they were like, we got to handle the security thing. We need some security. Who is an imposing, intimidating man who can come and be a force to reckon with? Adam Kareem can be that man. So they sit me down and like, Adam, we want you to do security for this year. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. So this is 2007 or 8, I forget. And I'm sitting there, I'm sitting in the musalla, and I think myself fancy because I got these like strips of paper that say security, and I'm laminating them with some clear packaging tape, and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna be official. Like, to me, my first time doing something big, so I'm like, yeah, we're gonna be so legit. And then I felt bad when someone walked in and saw me cutting these little pieces of paper, and I'm like, no, it's legit, please believe me. So I'm sitting there cutting these pieces of paper, and then someone comes running to the musalla, like, where's Adam Kareem? Where's Adam Kareem? And I'm like, oh, I'm right here. Come here, Sarah needs you right now. And I was like, all right, I'm coming. Yeah, security. Go be tough. And I come over, and Sarah's just like, good, you're here. I need you to do this. Stand over this box. Just stand there. And I was like, all right, is there anything in the box important? She said, just stand there. Sarah, it's wonderful, alhamdulillah. It's like my first job ever was guarding a box at DC Mist. I guarded with my life. I folded my arms, all kinds of clever techniques of intimidation. I shifted my weight. I did it all. So there are a lot of things that happen within Mist that only people who organize, like, be a part of it can see. And it's really funny on the organizer side. So one event that happened in our regionals was, remember the year, the organizers remember, when when the naked woman decided to parade through the Stamp Student Union. I just also get this report, there's a naked woman in the building. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, this is haram. So I run downstairs to the food court because people are at lunch. And I'm like, everyone, just don't stay where you are. We learn about public relations. So I'm like, everybody, just hang out a little longer. We're in lockdown, but that's cool. You guys just relax and enjoy your meal. We got to take care of something. The reason why the story is so notable to me was that the naked woman ran past one of the competitors who was competing in knowledge and Quran. And then the guy starts crying. He's like, Ya Allah, I've never seen a naked woman, please forgive me. Like, he's so pure, mashallah, these youth are so pure that, like, just seeing this woman, it wasn't his fault at all. She's flashed in front of him, that he's breaking down in tears. I see competitors walking on their way to their competition, breaking down in tears. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be any good. I don't know. I'm so worried. I might be terrible. They take it so seriously, and their purity is amazing, subhanAllah. Another story which is kind of funny was we were hanging out. We had one team that always brought some troubled youth. and they were talking about, yeah, man, they were talking about some altercation they got into. They're like, yeah, man, we got last night, man, we at the mosque, and we, these guys are ridiculous. So we at the mosque, man, and then one of these brothers came up and told us to stop cussing in the mosque. And I said, who you think you're talking to? So we fought him, and so they got in a fight with a guy at the masjid because he told them, don't be cussing in the masjid. And they were like, who you think you're talking to? Bam, fight. And I was like, wow, that's a bit irrational, but all right. So this is what I learned. This is as I was working from guarding boxes to then serving as associate director. And then I eventually became the regional director, took the position. I remember telling Mavish that, like, I'll accept it if no one else does. That was like my thing. I felt that it's too important a program to just let go to the wayside. So I accepted the position as director. And I knew that stepping in, that things would be a little bit rough. We would go through a period that I'm familiar with, we call install. And I'll tell you where that comes from. We would go through a period of introducing new ideas and concepts that those who have been with MIST and known it for a while would object to, would be a little like really opposed to. Some of those things were, one, we restructured ourselves organizationally. We went from being a little bit more loose and more rigid in how we had different people in specific functions, competitions, registration. We opened up a marketing committee. We formalized the logistics. And we just sort of worked on ourselves on the inside so that the outside would be improved. But there was a little pushback to that because we had some organizers who were like, I'm not used to MIST being a year-round thing. We only do this between January and March. Why are you making us meet in September? Why are we meeting in the summertime? Adam, I'm tired of you. So a little bit of like resistance. Some other things we introduced were we improved our recruiting process. It used to be very like referral-based system. Like, hey, I know a guy, so we should bring him on. I remember like one person, like Manar's brother Munir, showed up to a meeting, and we were like, hey, you make T-shirts, right? He was like, kind of. Yeah, okay, you're on the board, and you're in charge of making T-shirts. So we just like assign roles like that. And I realized that this is not the most beneficial or the strongest sort of footing to stand on for potential growth. So we introduced one that's more in line with like how organizations, corporations do. You post positions online. We hosted like info sessions, and we try to formalize a recruiting process. But there's pushback to this because some of the organizers were like, "Hey man, what if we don't like these people?" I remember that being the specific quote I remember to this day. It's like, "What if we don't like them? What I don't know these people. Why are you bringing these people in?" And to me, it sort of hurt because I was like, we can't allow ourselves to be that short-sighted, to allow for MIST growth and its development to be limited just to people we know, and ideas only be introduced from the people we know and be limited in that way. But it helped a lot that I'd seen all this before. I've seen similar things before when you introduce a different position in leadership and you got people who are now accepting it and some who are buying in and others who aren't. Where was in my time here at University of Maryland, I played for the football team. I don't know, that's a lesser known fact, I guess. My freshman and sophomore year, I walked on, and I played along the names of Darius Hayward-Bay, Jared Gaither, Vernon Davis I played with. I saw Sean Merriman, he came in a couple of times just to be awesome. And these are individuals that I just dealt with on a day-to-day basis. And in that experience, Paula, it was the most incredible thing for me, looking back, how much I learned about sports, the organization, the structure of a successful sports program. And I saw some important things. One, I saw the progression of a personal development, how someone can go from some freshman recruit out of some no-name school to then become the Torrey Smith that we have now, the Vernon Davis, the Darius Hayward-Bay that we have now. I saw that, and that vision was important. I saw how when we brought in new coaches, we went through 3 coaches in my term. In 2 years, went through 3 coaches at my position. Gary Blackman, Tim Banks, and Kevin Lempa. And each new coach had a new philosophy, and the players who were there from before were like, I'm sick of this coach, why don't we just play this scheme, I'm tired of this scheme. Some people bought in, others didn't. The coaches were very adamant about, you gotta buy into the scheme, you gotta buy into the program. And when we bought into what they were pitching us, we succeeded more as a team. But that buy-in was important, and I realized that I had to have my organizers buy in to our vision of MIST. And the last thing I learned was the importance of recruiting. Universities invest millions, so much money to bring in the right people into their schemes so they can make sure they succeed. So it helped that I had seen all these things before so that when I was developing them, implementing them into MIST, and I could sort of expect the pushback. We sort of expected that to happen. I know it's going to run its course and it'll be over with. What also sports allowed me to do, playing collegiately, was I was able to see certain striking parallels between MIST and the National Collegiate Athletic Association, NCAA. One, and that's why I wish I had my PowerPoint. It's like a beautiful image I had. It's like it explains everything. Thanks, MSA. Alhamdulillah, y'all, mashallah. You guys are good people, all right? Alhamdulillah, man. But anyway, what we have in college sports is different colleges agree to play each other every year, and they combine in conferences. Maryland, our conference is the ACC, and soon we'll move to the Big Ten. So other big conferences are the SEC, the Southeastern Conference. It's like a powerhouse in college football. The Big 12, the Pac-12, these are all conferences. And the schools compete with each other. The winners, then they have like little tournaments within themselves, and then the winners play each other from different conferences, and you have the national championship. And I noticed that Mist is almost exactly parallel to that. We have regions: Southern California, Houston, Atlanta, Detroit, Boston, New York, DC, Richmond, Virginia, Orlando, Florida, Toronto. We have regions, and each region hosts a tournament for the high schools within that region, from as few as 10 to as many as 60 or 70, and they compete against each other. And then the winners then, from each of those regions, like each of those conferences, then compete against each other in a national tournament. So striking that parallel, I was like, you know what? That should be our goal. I've seen it. As I've seen in my experience with football, how organizations should be structured. I see how Mist should model itself after the NCAA, after successful models like this, after the Olympics. And so in doing such, after establishing that vision and that goal, we then began pursuing, all of our actions became that much more meaningful and purposeful because we realized that it's helping us to get closer to that goal and that vision. It was no longer just an email, but a step closer to becoming like the NCAA. It was no longer just a tie between 4th and 5th place, because who cares? It was more so, how can we maintain our integrity as an organization so we can enjoy that same prominence and that same recognition in this culture, in our country, as the NCAA. So I sort of saw us as like a baby NCAA. And so as a result, it began motivating everything that we do, and we started seeing things in the bigger picture. We went from hosting the awards ceremony in the grand ballroom here, where it could barely fit like 800 people, to the Coldfield House, where the NCAA, where the Final Four was hosted a few decades ago. We went from having only 300 people register for the competition to over 600 in our peak years. And we saw continuous growth, and more importantly, we saw how Mist was affecting people's lives in such a positive and impactful way. But the most important thing was that we had that model, we had that vision, and it influenced and motivated everything that we did. And I feel that that's what's allowed us to be as successful as we are, alhamdulillah. Our goal eventually is to have Mist in every state in the country. Why not have 50 Mist? Why not have each host city bidding to host the national tournament the same way cities around the world bid to host the Olympics, bid to host the NCAA, the Final Four, bid to host the Rose Bowl? Why not? And how much that would mean to the Muslim community here in our country to have that level of prominence, that level of recognition, that level of competition. Why not have, like the NCAA, full-time staff? So you don't have to worry about volunteers juggling between their time with school and work, and they can focus on Mist and focus on growing and establishing this as best as possible. So that became our vision, that became our goal, and that became the mission. But this is why I turned it out to you all, and why I'm talking about this. I didn't come just to talk up Mist and be like, hey, Mist is great, you guys should all be volunteers, I love you all, alhamdulillah, and then just sit down, right? We learned a lot organizationally by having a goal which was defined by a vision of not who we were today, but who we saw ourselves to be in the future. And that motivated literally everything we did. We stopped calling the competitors kids because we felt that it would undermine our sense of respect for them, not today, but 5 years down the line. We're now looking at them as just these youth running around. But now we think of them now as respectful young adults who've come to compete, and we should respect that. Who are incredibly talented, we should respect that. And so if you can even change the language in which you refer to them as, it permeates and it grows. And now, I hope for you all in the audience to benefit from the same thing we have in the sense of establishing that vision, that goal. For yourselves, ask yourself, not who am I today, but who do I see myself to be? Who is this the individual that I want to be? And am I doing the things today that help me to be that way? When I register my class next semester, is it just a class? Is it just a class? Or is it one more step towards being that highly skilled professional that I see myself to be, contributing to society? When I'm babysitting my nieces and nephews, is it just my niece who's wild and happy? Or is it my chance to practice at being a fantastic parent and to practice at giving solid advice and being someone worth mentioning, a role model. We see this more specifically in our Islamic tradition, that having that vision, like you literally have to see yourself in these roles. The Prophet ﷺ, in the year of grief, when both his wife and his uncle passed, it was one of the most difficult times in his life. And what Allah blessed him with? The Miraj, the night ascension, in which Allah showed him heaven. He showed him what he was working for. And at that point, it's mentioned in Sirah that it changed his life completely. It changed his resolve completely. And he become, that was such an incredible step in his maturation as a prophet, because he saw it. And that's what I'm hoping to impart to you all today, is that if you don't take that time to see a goal, not just tell yourself, okay, I think I'll be whatever, but to actually have a visual of it. That's why I really needed this PowerPoint. A visual of it. It will motivate literally everything that you do and help you to become the individual you see yourself to be in the future. I thank you for your time, and I hope this helped everybody, and I'm done. Assalamu alaikum.